how does the coronavirus influence you and Nothing But Thieves?
How does it influence us?
Yeah.
I mean, ironically, the song that we just put out feels very much like we wrote it the day before we put it out, which wasn't true. But we had so many people like, did you write this about coronavirus this week? And
Yeah.
we definitely didn't. It was just that thing of, it was like a year-long build-up of lunacy on the planet, and it's a little weird. It's a little telepathic in a sense that it's that the week that it was lined up. It's been lined up for about 6 months to be released in that week because it was with Annie Mac on Radio 1. It's just weird that it all started kicking off and actually going into hysteria around the planet at that time. So it's not influenced it, but it's definitely highlighted it, isn't it? It's definitely, it was very correct and that feels very apt to release it.
Can you take us back to, well, when was this song first well, maybe the first line or maybe the first chorus or riff written?
It was last year, quite far into our writing process, because we'd written a lot of, which no one's heard yet, but a lot of properly, the way I describe it is like there's a lot of songy songs on this next record, a lot of really well written songs, but which we're really proud of, and we didn't have anything overly riffy, and Dom was just searching in his insides for something riffy for a long time. And I remember he texts Joe and I, because we have like a little group chat, saying, I think I've got one. I was like, okay. So we get around there, and he's got it, and it's cool. It's kind of this T-Rex groovy thing.
Yeah.
And then I know, and that's not entirely correct. The verse, I think Joe had the first section of the verse, and I had the second section of the verse, and then we brought that in with Dom's riff, and we're like, all right, cool. Now we can start the song. We've got the starting point, and then the pre was pretty quick. I always just when I hear songs that are quite rocky in nature, I always try and turn it on its head for myself melodically, just so what appeases me and what makes me feel something. So the pre was just me trying to get as far away as possible from anything bandy and just have those kind of R&B runs that I just want to go, that kind of thing. And then the chorus was just this one big experiment when we had this lyric, everybody's going crazy, and it was like, how can we make this really stand out? And it's not like you try and write to be catchy, but with this song, it felt right to make something super hooky. And again, it's because of this kind of this sludgy riff, this kind of Queens of Stone Age-y riff. I always just think, well, what contradicts that? And for me, it's like pop and R&B and everything else I love on the other ends of the spectrum. So it's like bringing that in somehow. And that chorus for us was just an experiment of how far from the riff we can go, but still make it work and be cohesive. And that was it was a challenge, but we got it. And I feel this song weirdly is the first time we've ever done something that is so marbled between the three of us. Obviously, normally it's like there's always elements of marbling, but this song has got so much like of Dom's jauntiness and Joe's classicness, and it's got my pop and R&B thing in it, and it's just this melting pot of a sound, and I'm really proud of it. Funny enough, it doesn't sound anything like what's on the next record, which is typical us.
That was my question. Does it become easier now for you to marble it more together now? Or is it just the first time that it actually properly worked?
So we've known each other for so long now, and we've been writing together for so long. You just know what works. You just get together and you know what's good, and it's really obvious that kind of it rises to the surface pretty quickly. So we've got a good way of doing it.
How come you released this song as the first song, saying that it's not that it stands out from the other tracks of the album? Why did you decide to release this song first then?
Well, when I say it stands out from the other songs of the album, it's more that what we do naturally is that no song on the record sounds the same again. So it's like each song has its identity, and I kind of describe it like a little plant, and each song has a plant that we've watered a lot and nurtured, so they grow individually. And this song stands out from the next single, and then that song stands out from the next single. But that's just the way we would like to write, and we've always written that way. We get bored with songs that sound the same. So, and it's us too. It's like if Dom brings a riff in that I think, oh no, that sounds like something we've already done, or like a melody or a lyric that we've used too many times. You just go, no, don't do that. This is where each song is a new band almost, you know. So that's why this song does stand out from the rest. But it's not like the rest of the album sounds the same. They've all got their own identity.
I thought you said that the songs were more melodic, and you were looking for some sort of riff of this song, and that he was searching into his phone or something for more riffy stuff. Was it?
No, he was searching into himself. I'm saying, like he sat there for like a week and was just trying to write a riff, and he was like, I've got one, and it was good. It was great. But no, when I say the songs are more songy, there's a lot more classic songwriting in some of the other songs. So this one was mainly focused around let's find a riff and let's write on a riff like we used to do with songs like Itch, Amsterdam, whatever.
Yeah. We
hadn't really done that this record. It was more like someone bringing in little bits of bobs, so there was a verse or a chorus and there's an actual song idea, which is cool. It was just a different way of doing it. And then we were like, oh, we need something a bit more riff-tastic, and this came about. But again, what I like about this song is that I don't think it sounds like anything else we've done. It doesn't sound like an Amsterdam to me, or like a Trip Switch. It has its own lane, you know, and I like that.
And the lyrics, what triggered the lyrics?
It was just this absolute year of this build-up of idiocy and the conversations we'd have together, and that you can feel that feverish heat of how everything around you is just getting insane, and you see Twitter and the opinions, keyboard warriors, and this song, the lyric of the song, everybody's going crazy, just arose from that year of absolute lunacy that we were all been going through. It's to hit a peak as well right now. It feels like I feel like the universe or something is telling us to slow down, or telling us to press pause, because it's all just become a bit too much. And I think it's with coronavirus, in a sense, it's like art reflects life, and that's reflected our music. And I do really think that at the moment the planet is on pause for a good reason.
Is there a certain thing that you said that happened last year that you still recall and say, well, that's something that really inspired the song, apart from what's happening now, but maybe prior to this?
No, I wouldn't say anything in particular. It's just that year of everything we went through, from Brexit to Trump to the Grenfell Tower to the way we've handled everything in the UK, to people's opinions. I think that's the main thing with us, is like people's oversharing online and everyone being too bloody right all the time. I think that's really what inspired this song in particular.
Okay, and for you, like you were saying, more songy. How were the songs written for the whole album? How come it's more songy now? The other song, how come?
I just think when I say songy, it's a really vague term. About a year ago or something, I was in Australia with Dom. We were talking about the new record and what we were going to write and stuff. And he's quite flamboyant, and he was like, "I think we can do better with melody. I think there's more in it. There's more we can do." And I remember not being offended, but being like, "Oh, okay, yeah, fair enough." But I remember feeling a little bit not hurt by it, but I thought, okay, let me think about this. And we just went into overdrive between the three of us of how can we make it all better? How can we make the melodies better and hookier and more melodic? And it was just a year of analysing songs and analysing my own writing, and they did the same thing, and just making every single song a better song. And that thing that really, obviously your first listen is is the melody or something, whether it's on the guitar or whether it is on the voice. And that's what, even if you haven't caught the lyric yet or the exact, you know, what's going on, it's like you go away humming a melody naturally. So it was like really focusing on making sure they're all pretty banging, to be honest. And I think this record, there's a lot more focus on that. I do think the melody writing's got a lot better. We're proud.
What did you learn by analyzing, well, your own songwriting? What?
Well, interesting. It's for me. It was studying pop. It was studying what the most current things are on the planet. And it's not saying that you can actually do that or like try your best to do it, but it was analyzing what made something so good and so catchy, and it was all these, you know, different rhythms around the beat and push and pull, and just and never focusing too straight. I feel like, which wasn't a bad thing. I felt naturally before I'd write melodies we'd write melodies that would feel right in the song, but without thinking about what they are, or like, can you make them more interesting, or can you pull them over this bar or shorten them here? And I think this time around, and people will hear it on this new record, it's very much more thought out. And I mean, you can hear it on the first single, everybody's going crazy. It's intricate, you know, and it's really interesting to us to listen to, or at least for myself, I find it super interesting hearing those sort of stuff. I'm super into R&B and hip hop, and I'd kind of been writing my own little project too, just for a bit of fun, and I study that stuff so much. Like rap and hip hop is so interesting melodically, and if we can put that in rock music, that's really interesting to me, because our band has always been trying to push certain boundaries and genre bend. And I think this time round, with other things, like when the video comes out for this new single and the artwork we've got, and the songwriting, it's way more genre bending than we've ever done before. There is a lot of R&B and a lot of hip hop and a lot of pop, and then, you know, that's just the way we like to do it, because I just think bands are overdone, you know. So there's always a formula that's followed.
And the like you were saying, it's really interesting now what's happening in R&B and hip hop. Can you explain a bit more? Maybe you have a song example, or maybe an artist, or can you explain a bit more?
Yeah, okay. So in terms of like video, I think the music videos for artists like Stormzy, like Vossi Bop, Kendrick Lamar, Humble, it's so much more innovative. It's so much more interesting to watch, rather than a band in a big. I'm almost riding on what we did last time, in a band in a big setting playing a rock song. What made it different then was, for us, with a song like Amsterdam, we had this huge dance choreography thing which we'd never seen with a band before. But even so, it was like, that's in the past, leaving all the muted colours and the greys and the blacks and all that sort of stuff there, you know. And it's like all the R&B stuff and the hip hop stuff, which I find interesting, is so colourful and it's so graded. It's just so much more interesting. It's fast paced. In terms of the visuals, that's what we've been going for. And in the artwork, we had the same guy who did the artwork on the last two albums, Steve Stacey. He's great. And this time, instead of focusing on a central image, you know, like the girl with the kintsugi or the horse, we had a general overview of what we wanted to do. And he presented to us this whole idea, which obviously I can't go into because the album, there's so many more visuals to release. But it's so much more interesting. It's so much more playful and urban, I'd like to say, and street. And there's a lot of influence from the sort of fashion that I'm into as well, like the street fashion, the way all the art has come together, and the merch we've come together is so much more interesting now, and less kind of bandy and rocky. And I think, it's to me, it's just way more interesting.
We're saying visual-wise, and for example, songwriting-wise or lyric-wise, how did hip hop and R&B influence this album?
Do you know what? That's interesting. I think on this new record, there's a lot more soft pads and synths that Dom's using, because he's been writing, he's producing and doing his own thing, and he's been making tracks for R&B and hip hop people, and I can hear it in I know, it's cool. So I can hear it in the music he writes and presents to Joe and I. And I won't say the song names, but there's a song in particular which sounds so so modern and so much more in the R&B field than it would in a band field, but somehow we've managed to tie it in. And I do think naturally my voice will tie most things in we do. I think the lucky thing of it is that we can mess around with it and play around with my voice, so you can put it in different shades and it does fit over other genres. But that's what's interesting for us, you know. But I can definitely hear Dom's hip hop and R&B coming through in his production, and it's fun to write over as well. It makes it so much more interesting for me rather than just like 4 chords, you know. It's good.
That's great. And the like you were saying, your own project, is it something that's mentionable, or you say, well, it's just me just goofing around a bit, or
It's me goofing around, and if anything, it was like when I was in Australia, it was Dom going, I think we could write better melodies, and I was like, oh, piss off. And then I was like, you know what, actually, he's right. So it's just me like pissing about at home and, you know, just noodling around and just finding my own feet with production and songwriting in that sort of sense. And then it's just the songs that you don't feel that fits Nothing But Thieves, I just bank it and go, okay, well, maybe I'll do something with this myself down the line. But it's not like something I'm serious about right now. It's just a bit of fun.
just a question about it. What's the songs that you write that don't actually fit the box now of Nothing But Thieves? Maybe in the future, but not now. What sort of songs are there?
Oh, this is funny. What are they? They're just very, 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 very me. So it's like the way we work with Nothing But Thieves, which is wonderful, is that the 3 of us have our own identities. So when you come together, like a song like Everybody's Going Crazy, it comes in this middle ground, and we find our song pushing it together in a sense, which is great because I couldn't write Nothing But Thieves songs without those two, and they couldn't without us, you know. So it's the way it works. But when it comes to, say, if I'm doing my own thing, or say Dom's producing his own track, you can just kind of explode yourself completely onto it, you know. And I've showed Dom tracks that I've done that are just mine. He's like, oh, that's really cool. That's very you know. And for me, what I am is there's always a softer side, and there's always a bit more emotional side, and a bit more of a pop R&B thing always. Like, it's just the way I write. It's just who I listen to, what I've grown up with, the soul music I grew up with my family, and then the more modern kind of Franco stuff that I listen to.
It always shines through in your voice. I think the soul, I think that's something that you bring.
That's always happened, like since day one. Like, there's something that I can't change, which I don't mind. You know, it's great. I'm happy. There's always that element of soul over Nothing But Thieves anyway, because it always comes out of somewhere in the well inside me somewhere. There's always an element of soul, and I'm proud of that though. But then I'm saying it's like, if sometimes I can write stuff that feels too that field for Nothing But Thieves, and that's okay though.
Yeah,
you can just put your influences on it. And then same with Dom. It's like sometimes Dom does stuff that's so nuts and so Dom, and we have to like rein him in, you know, and that's fine. That's cool though. That's what you do. That's why we're a team.
If you look back now on what happened to you, you've had a rocky time, you've had success, I think it's been an enormous ride. What are your thoughts on what happened when you first started with Nothing But Thieves? Where you are now?
Do you know what? This is something I think about all the time, and it's not just to do with Nothing But Thieves, but it's to do with the idea of being present. And I think for me, I've come into a state in the last year or two where a lot of things have happened in my personal life and in the band life that have made me kind of stand up and kind of look around and go, okay, where am I and who I am? You know, what's my contribution to life and to myself? Am I happy within myself? And I think when I first started the band, it was a lot of a simpler time in a sense. It was me, 17, 18, and I'd known Joe since I was a kid. So he was like my big brother, and I'd met Dom at school. So we were like, 16, 17. And it was like being in a garage band at the start. So there was no worries or pressures. And I don't think I really understood what was about to happen for the next 6 years. I didn't really clock it. And I think I've always just loved, I've just loved singing, and I just like being on stage and being that sort of guy. And then when everything else comes with it, I think it just kind of shook me up, and it was just something I didn't expect. And leaving your family and your girlfriend and going on tour for this amount of time, it makes you question. It makes you go, is am I? Who am I? Like, do I love this enough to shake me up? You know, and all that sort of stuff. And so going through all that stuff for a few years on tour was a good thing, as well as it was a hard thing. It was a good thing to make me question what I want. And ultimately now, I'm saying, I feel a bit more awakened in a sense. Like, I know who I am, and I know just how much I love doing this. Like, and I've realized that, especially in this last few weeks where I haven't been able to play or anything, it's like I need to sing without sounding too musical. Like, I need to sing. Like, it's in it's in my DNA. You know, it's like, it's, if I don't do it, like, I just spent the day today doing a cover for fans and for socials, and I feel better for it. Do you know what I mean? I feel better. I spent the last sort of week feeling hazy and lost, and feel like I'm out at sea a little bit.
You were saying, did you want, what do you want to contribute? What do you think? What is it that you want to give?
Do you know what, that, on the most basic level, I love these interviews always. They're so good. On the most basic level, I want to bring my enjoyment out, and the only way I can do that best is through singing and writing and being on stage. And through that enjoyment, it's like anything in life. If you show your confidence and your enjoyment, it rubs off on other people, and people see it and they react to it. It's like an energy that flows. And if I can do that to my utmost degree and really express myself, and like people see me on stage and I just go, you know, and that gives them something, then I'm happy. That's as simple as that. I just want to express myself fully via the music, and hopefully it makes people happy, and that's all I need. I don't need anything else. Like, any of the money and the fame thing that people are so obsessed with is just not interesting to me.
How did you, because you had 2 years ago, you had a rough time. What are your checks and balances now?
Me, so massively, my mental health all focuses around stress. I realised how poorly I dealt with stress. It was like 4 or 5 things happening at the same time in that period. So I was just this atomic ball of of issues, and I couldn't sort them out. I didn't know how to compartmentalize them. And some things have happened in my life recently, like in my personal life. So that's made me kind of like unmarble from all the stress, and in a situation now where I was in a long-term relationship and now I'm not. And that alone time, and that time through this period of quietness, it's really made me kind of look in on myself, you know?
Yeah. And you said earlier in the interview, the planet is, well, taking a step now, and combining this, what you were saying with that you want to give on stage, is it also something that you want to give in the lyrics? It's something that you want to, well, it's apart from singing, the emotion that you bring over, also lyric-wise, or maybe the themes that you sing about?
Yeah, totally. No, it's being able to, yeah, express ourselves fully, and actually have a message, you know, and actually say something that's been really important for us, you know. I do feel that that has been really fruitful, and I do think people really react to it. And I think it's always nice when you see that you've helped people in one way or another. And I do think we do see that from our fans, and that's really important. And if we can keep doing that, you know.
Is there one thing that recently happened that, well, that's a nice example of the thing that, you know, that maybe someone came up to you and said, well, this song inspired me for this or for that?
I mean, it's not one thing in particular I see. It's now through social media. It's more often than not, you get so many messages of you've really helped us, and you put me in a good place when I was in a dark place in my life, and you can't reply to all of these messages, but knowing and reading them gives meaning to what you do. You know, as much as we write songs and do music for ourselves, through our job description, people literally buying CDs and coming to your shows, you're going to affect them. And so it's really lovely to see that you're making a difference to certain people's lives, even if it's just a small corner of the earth. You know, that's great.
Yeah. When will the album be released?
I can't tell you that, but it's sometime this year.
Sometime this year.